After listening to this podcast, you will have no excuses left to go out and take massive, imperfect action. This 22-year-old is going to blow your face off. Check this out. (7,416 miles away is an incredible wholesaler that is living just outside of Tel Aviv, Israel. Rotem Levy, how are you?
How's it going, man? Everything's well here.
So you
How's it
are
going?
you are living very far away, but yet you are still finding incredible opportunities here in the United States. So, how are you doing it? How are you finding great deals when you live so far away? I mean, people that I talk to, they live in the areas that they do business, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go find great deals. I don't know if there's enough deals out there." So, tell us how you do it.
Definitely. I mean, it's a challenge. It's been a challenge since day one. It was also one of the limiting beliefs that I had since I started, asking myself, is this possible? Is this something that I'm actually able to do across the world? Um, and I mean, I didn't take the time to stop and answer that question until I just jumped in the water and taken action and then started, receiving the answers by myself. But yes, it's possible. It's possible, and I am my own example of that.
Yeah. So, what are you doing to find for generating opportunities, generating leads?
So I'm cold calling. I started doing this not too long ago. I got my dialer, and I just sit and I cold call for about 4 hours a day, talking to homeowners and finding opportunities.
Let me ask you this. What puts you in the right mental frame to make calls? Do you stand up? Do you listen to something that's encouraging? Do you go for a run? Do you take your shoes off and feel the earth, move? Like what gets you in the right mental place to make 4 hours of calls, for being on for 240 minutes of talking to strangers?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because that is like the most important thing that I have noticed while cold calling. It really is your energy that you bring and your mentality. I've got post-it notes and pictures all around my room here that I've kind of put in front of my face that I know to remind me of why I'm doing this. But before I start, my cold calling session, I always wake up and hit my workout, whether it's hitting the gym or doing a run, getting my mental kind of state where it should be, understanding that being healthy and being on top of things is also it's going to reflect on my business. And then definitely I've been doing the 90 kind of, it's I don't know if this is like cringe or not, but I mean honestly I've been doing like the 90-day moto that is in the TTP kind of program.
Yep.
Been reading it out to myself every morning when I just before I'm starting the my dialing session, watching some videos, talking to myself sometimes in the camera. I've got like a whiteboard with my goals right in front of me. So, I mean, I'm putting myself in the best mental state that I can, understanding that I'm out here searching for opportunities and bringing value to people and not just, what people like to say, begging or something else.
Right, right. Do you have the motto in front of you there?
It's always on my computer, like it's on my desktop, so I just open it and just read it.
Can you pull it up
I
so people
downloaded
can
it with
hear
all
it?
my.
I don't think we've ever
Uh,
had anybody read it here on the podcast, and it's something that we've put together years ago. And this is a collaboration between Cody Hoffine, Tom Kroll, and myself. And in the training, when people join the Rhino Tribe, the coaching and mentorship with me, we have a 90-day action plan, and it's got a checklist of everything to do in the first 90 days. And one of them is to go through this motto to just get the right mindset mindset in. And yeah, it's a little bit silly. Yes, it's a psychological trick to, put yourself in a really good place to start taking some action. But I would love it if you could read it out to everybody.
Sure. Yeah, it always puts me in a better like state of mind and understanding that it's system. It's so if I do this, I'm gonna get results.
Yep.
And it goes for the next 90 days, I will maintain an attitude of progress, not perfection. I promise myself I will take massive imperfect action every single day. I will maintain a single focus on wholesaling and keep a sense of urgency and have an speed of implementation around Brent's instructions. I'll seek discomfort daily, undertaking what is most uncomfortable, and as a result, I'll achieve financial freedom.
Drink the Kool-Aid, baby. I love it. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's the truth, right? You go out and you take massive imperfect action. You don't try to be perfect at everything, and you realize that you can stack the small wins. You know what I mean? Having that first conversation with a property owner or a real estate agent that represents a property owner or an attorney that represents a property owner, that's a win. Asking them if they would consider an offer, doing the pre-qualifying, get the discovery, really understand what is the goal that this property owner has with this property. And that's really that's the magic in this business, is doing the discovery. And so when you almost have a tailwind when you have that motto and you understand, listen, I don't have to be perfect. I'm going to screw things up. I'm going to fail forward in this thing, but as long as I'm progressing, it's going to work.
100%. And that's the main reason why I decided I've always actually kind of searched for some sort of like easy motivation that I can always seek. I also have like my why I'm doing this written like in front of me on my notebook, and I always go back to that a couple times a week. But yeah, that piece of that like motto is very, very, it's been something that has always put me in a better mental state just before I start my session.
Awesome. So why real estate? I mean, you have the whole world open to you. Why get into real estate? Why wholesale real estate? What made you come down this path?
So real estate, I had nothing to do with it ever. It's kind of funny. I never thought I would actually be into real estate. It was always a big word, especially here in Israel. I mean, real estate is for like big people. It's for massive entrepreneurs. It's something it was scary even to think about. When I heard my friends when I was just a teenager telling me their parents are in real estate, I was like, whoa. Um, but as I got released from my military service, I found myself kind of in the first week or so looking for opportunities on what I'm going to do. And I'm taking us about a year and a half back, and some guy came and did like a mini like presentation to all like the upcoming released soldiers from the paratroopers, and he was telling us all about stocks and real estate and a lot of like financial education, like stuff that you would enjoy,
Yeah.
kind of hearing it after not being, after not listening to all this stuff for about 3 years. Um, so it was great. And I remember going up to him and asking him like what this all is about. And I decided to take on his course. It wasn't too expensive, but back then it was like something I really had to think about before doing it. And I just jumped in, understood a little bit. He's an Israeli guy. I understood a little bit about what he was talking about. He basically put us throughout all the options between stocks and real estate and all these other kind of pathways you can take, and gold. And I decided back then that real estate was something that I'm more interested in.
Yep.
So I jumped in the water. I just started watching a whole bunch of YouTube. It seemed pretty interesting. It seemed like something I could definitely pursue on myself. Um, and that's basically how I heard of wholesaling. That's the first time when I heard the word wholesaling, and YouTube was what really brought me into this.
Got it. And so you saw it, and did it just click right away? You're like, oh, I understand what that is, or did it seem like mysterious?
Oh, it clicked. It did click because of the reasoning that I didn't have to put in capital. So it immediately was like, hey, this is something I'm able to do. It wouldn't risk me. I'm open to learn. So I was really, really motivated to start something like that because I've been searching for a while for that kind of, it was like a side hustle at the beginning that I thought it would be. And I was also, I was being a bartender at that time. So, trying to like, I was just out of the army. I was bartending for like a month and I started learning about wholesaling. There was a click, started doing it for about 2 to 3 hours a day. When I say doing it, it was just watching YouTube,
Sure.
acting busy, definitely not being productive, but I had to somewhat learn the way from the beginning.
Awesome. Growing up, brothers, sisters, big family, small family.
I have an older sister. She's not living with us anymore right now. She's in Thailand. She's also a business owner, so she's an entrepreneur as well. I've got a younger brother who's just drafted about a month ago into the army, and both my parents, they're divorced. They divorced a while back, like 7, 10 years ago almost. So now I'm just living with my mother and my younger brother who's in the army.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Awesome. And were your parents entrepreneurs? Were they business owners? What'd they do?
Oh no, the complete opposite. My father was in like security, so just like he had a safe job, he had all the things you would kind of wish for, or that I thought I would wish for as a child. Like, you get that safe check at the end of the month, and then my mother was also she was in the security kind of type of work. And then now, as we moved back, we lived in Thailand for a while. I'm not sure if I said this,
No.
but because of my parents' job, them being in security, we were sent out to Thailand for a couple of years, um, and, and as like a security kind of what should I call it, like a job that they had. And then as they finished, and they got divorced, we moved back to Israel over here, and then that's basically when my mother kind of quit security. Now she's in the hospital, so she has a 9 to 5 as well.
So did you grow up doing your own little kid businesses, flipping anything or selling anything or making anything? You know what I mean? Was there any kind of like that entrepreneurial spirit as you were growing up before, you did your service?
Yeah, I would say it was always a part of me. I didn't necessarily have any time to kind of show it out in terms of business, but I would say it really was burning a burning desire in me while I was in the army. So since I was a teenager, all the way from middle school, I was always the odd one out when it came to studying and school and grades and not being able to kind of find myself really being too good at school. And then uh, as I moved back to Israel, the same thing happened here. I was really, really a bad student. Drafting into the army was something very big for me because I had a really big goal in front of me, getting to a specific unit that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was training for that day in, day out for about 6, 7 months. While all my friends were like partying and drinking, I would go and go on sprints and runs and lifts and doing all the army training type of stuff. And then in the army, I became a commander, and that was when I really brought out my entrepreneurial side in it. Working with soldiers, teamwork, collaboration, being very, very creative. I knew at that moment, being in the army, that when I get released, that's something that I would want to pursue.
Yep. Just the leadership skills.
Yeah, I never opened any business or something like that. It just came off of what I had like a gut feeling in the army.
What was the unit you wanted to be a part of? Was it the paratroopers? Is that what you said?
So yeah, so before the paratroopers, I wanted to be a part of a commando unit. It was like the top 5 units. So I did have to go through Hell Week, which I did pass, and I got into that commando unit. Fortunately and unfortunately, I mean, I did about 6 months in that unit, which was a great experience, great goal for me. But then I had to kind of split ways with that unit. It was a little tougher, and then I ended up finding myself in the paratroopers, which is still amazing, was still a great experience. Um, and that's where I pursued kind of my commander sergeant's course and all that.
What's tougher, getting your first wholesale deal or going through Hell Week?
Oh, Hell Week, definitely Hell Week.
So after Hell Week, life's easier.
Yeah, not a doubt.
That's awesome, because we had a lot of conversations, you and I, when you were starting out and you were making the calls and you were talking to people, and you were just like, man, I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm just not finding these opportunities. And it was just keep going, keep going, keep going. And eventually, obviously, it worked out, and you're doing amazing things right now. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that you went through such an intense training. I mean, if I would have known that, I would have pushed you even harder. 4 hours, more like 6 hours. Let's get
Yeah,
this in. That would be nothing to you.
I'm gonna boost it up. I'm gonna boost it up.
That's awesome. And you are a staple in the virtual office. Will you explain what that is, and you know, what you think about it?
So the virtual office is practically just like a hub, like a center where we kind of collaborate and sit in the Zoom call together, all the people from the TTP mentorship that want to be in this Zoom. It's open 24/7, so you can go in there probably at midnight. There's usually at least one person in there working 24/7 at some time of the day. And then what we do, I mean, we're basically all on our own doing our calls, either follow-ups or cold calling. But the great thing about it is that it's like an open community, so you can always unmute your mic, ask questions, ask for recommendations, understand if people have gone through something that you're going through right now. You can even practice role playing with someone. So it is incredible. And I 100%, if there's anyone kind of listening to this that is already in TTP and hasn't gone to the VO, I would recommend it 100%. I think that it, it, it would account for about, I don't know, 30 to 50% as just a rough number of an acceleration to me seeing my first results. Just because I had people surrounding me that were doing what I'm doing, especially being in Israel. I'm alone in my room just doing this. None of my friends know what this is. My family barely knows what this is. I've got no one to speak about this with. So having a community to hop on a Zoom call with, and they understand what we're doing and they're helping me out. I mean, hey, that's like the best thing I could ask for.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of deals that are done. You know, a lot of help, a lot of joint ventures. Especially when people are really good at a certain market, they really know the right price points, they can really help out, and they have a tremendous amount of investors in that area that are looking for great deals, or they're looking for great deals themselves to take down, to do whatever, add to their portfolio, flip, you know, wholesale it, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's a huge resource. Anybody listening to this in the Rhino Tribe, I just reshot the 90-day action plan. Actually, Rotem, last Friday, and I put in there, you have to jump in at least once a week. At least once a week. You got to be around people doing it and doing it on a high level. It's huge.
Oh yeah.
And so,
You're the
um,
average of the five people you are spending most time with. And that is something that I also had in my head along the way. So being around those people that are making a lot more than you, you're gonna eventually get there.
yeah, I have this vision in my head from the first time that I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it talks about his rich dad walking in. We're basically wearing like shorts and flip flops and a Hawaiian T-shirt, and he's surrounded by people in suits and people that are, you know, wearing construction gear, and he's got his board of directors, his personal board of directors there, with his attorney and his finance guy and his contractors and the people running his businesses, and taking care of everything. And I always think about that. I was like, okay, I got to put together a personal board of directors of people that are really, really, we're all on the same mission. We're all trying to support each other. We're all trying to increase each other's income and or impact. And it's so it makes things go so much smoother and so much faster. It truly does. You got to find that board of directors. You got to find people that are going to cheerlead you. You got to find people that are going to call you out when your ego gets too crazy. You got to have people, that make sure that your emotions don't go too wild. You got to make sure that there's people that are going to protect you. All those things are so important. And the virtual office has all of that, which is really cool.
Definitely.
What
I
time
mean,
is it?
sorry.
No, go
Right
ahead.
now right now it's 7:30 p.m. But what I was gonna say is, I mean, if you had at least me, if I had the option to sit in an office with these people, I mean, I would take that rather than being alone doing the work. So a virtual office is essentially exactly what we're saying. I mean, it's exactly that, just being virtual, and you're getting all ends of all of these kind of this value brought up to the table. So if you're not taking advantage of that, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I just wanted to mention for everybody, you're 7,460 miles away from me in Phoenix. So obviously you're probably doing your business in the West Coast or in the Midwest where the time change isn't too crazy because you're 9 hours different than me here, which means 6 hours on the East Coast, sometimes 7 hours when the time changes. So you're doing this in the middle of the night, right?
Yes, exactly.
From
Yes.
miles away.
Yep.
So if you can do this, I mean, one, it's just evidence that if you live outside of this country and you have that passion to be in real estate, you definitely can do this. And two, if you live here and you can go on these appointments, you can meet these sellers. I mean, there's no excuses. Rotem's here doing it from way across the world, way across the world. Have you ever been to the United States?
No, ever.
Incredible. Where do you do business?
I do business right now in Cincinnati, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started marketing in Dayton as well.
Awesome. So Ohio, great. And so let's break
Yep.
down a deal. Let's talk about a deal. Let's get into the nitty gritty. You got a deal we can break down and
Okay.
and I can ring this victory bell.
Yeah, let's do it. So this was my first contract. It didn't end up closing until later on, like after this, my first deal already closed. But so this contract was signed with sellers that were tax delinquent
Mm-hmm.
on a property. Um, they had motivation basically kind of screaming at me. I cold called them. It was me. I have VAs as well, but I was the one who cold called this session. Immediately on that first conversation, I realized that this is a deal. Just kind of basically I mean, actually, let me kind of change that up. I listened to my first recording with them a few weeks ago to kind of see what went on there. And the first thing they told me was, we're thinking about it. We're thinking about selling.
Yep.
And then, kind of asking a little deeper questions about, okay, when are you looking to sell this? If you were to, I'm not saying you are, but if you were to, when would you look to sell theoretically? And then you really kind of open it up to them and they start screaming at you motivation. Oh, yesterday. Um, we would done this already if we could. We've had other buyers who pulled out last minute. And then at this call, I've already kind of realized that that I'm speaking with a very motivated seller. He didn't have a price to give me, which was also kind of funny because he told me all this motivation and he already worked with a buyer, but he doesn't have a price.
Mm-hmm.
So asked a couple more questions and then he ended up saying he wants to walk away with 50,000. Um, and then obviously after I scheduled an appointment, which is basically my follow-up call with them to kind of see if we can get this down to paper. And they tell me all these things they owe on this property. They were telling me they owe about $10,000 in tax, and I think that was about it that they said. they owe. And then we got down to an agreement, me accounting for the $10,000, um, meaning they wanted to walk away with 50. That being said, they wanted me to pay 60. So they walk away with 50. Um, the ARV on that was about 200 or
Mm.
220. So they weren't astronomically far away from what I needed it to be. After, accounting for that taxes, I wanted to be at 50. All in. I offered 28 as a lowball, which was a shock for them. Considering they also told me that the other wholesaler or that the other buyer they were working with, he ended up kind of backing out last second and saying, I want this for 2025, which immediately kind of struck like a question mark in my head. Like, why would you want to do that? What happened? Is there something sketchy here? So I asked them what happened. So they said that he wasn't aware of the tax of the $10,000. So I immediately understood that I'm okay. I'm aware and I'm able to be at 50. Lowballed at 30. We found ourselves in the middle at, I think it was like 40, 45. 45. And then, no, sorry, it was 45, but I also offered to pay $5,000, half of their taxes basically. So we found ourselves just going for that 50.
Yeah.
And then I opened title. Things kind of started going a little bit um, down road from here, and title comes back with a whole bunch of things. And this is like, bear in mind, this is like my first contract, first time. I am getting a water bill balance at $10,000. I'm getting a tax delinquent bill or debt, not 10,000, it was 17,000.
Mm.
I'm getting a city lien that is $9,000. And I'm also getting a child support lien that is like $7,000. So taking all that into account, I'm down at like 10K. What I should have offered is like 10. And this was about 2 weeks before ending
10K for them to
my
like
inspection
walk
period.
away with, right?
Yep,
Right.
10K for them to walk away with.
Yeah.
And this is about 2 weeks before my inspection period kind of ends. I'm in complete shock that they didn't tell me all this, and I was kind of mad as well. And then I start telling myself the same sentences that I used to tell myself when I was in the army. Like, hey, you know what? This is a situation. I'm not in control of it. I cannot change it. The only thing I can do is work around it or work with it. What is my solution? And I think that is also what kind of challenged my entrepreneurial brain to, instead of kind of being like, whoa, this is not a deal. I have to back out. I can't do this. They lied to me. Panic. I said, we got to speak to them. They're human beings. I got to speak to them. I got to understand what we have to do here to fix this. I want to help them. They want to get this done as well. They just need some education on all that is happening. I mean, and realistically, they're probably not going to walk away with what they think they are. Um, so the first thing that I did was call them up and explain to them the situation that has been brought upon to me. And it was tough. It was tough because it was like a slap in their face to kind of understand that there's no way we're going to be paying for all of that. The second thing I did was try to figure out what I can on my own without um, going face to face with them. Meaning, I called the city and I negotiated some liens down, and I removed the child support lien completely away, so that went down to zero. The city lien I deducted like interest, so it went down to like 7K or 6K. Um, and then basically we were just left with, I think it was tax. And also I spoke with the water company, which we handled the situation that the lien is attached to the owner and not to the property.
Mm.
Meaning we're in a much better situation now. We just have taxes
Yeah.
to deal with. I call them up again. I show them the amount of value that I brought up to the table and what I have done for them already. And I told them I'm not able to pay what they're expecting, and this is what I'm able to pay. And I think um, I told them I told them that it's all getting deducted from their proceeds, and they're walking away with about 15 or 18, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the same time, I'm also looking for a buyer. I found one through a whole bunch of Facebook kind of vesting that I've done. I've gone through all the Facebook groups and in the Cincinnati looking for cash buyers that are purchasing properties. I take down their email, I text them, we hop on a call, I kind of qualify them, and I put them on my list. And I started blasting this out on email and calling them up. Um, at this time, I think I had about 10 interested buyers on this property. So I call the homeowner, I arrange a showing for them. It was also very hard, but I dealt with it virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I send my boots on the ground with these buyers. We take a look. Everyone has like their bid, and then they call me back, and I basically let it be like a bid war. So I was asking 61 after I'm paying 50.
Mm-hmm.
So I was asking 61 and I got it all the way up to 75
Mm. Eh,
initially.
okay.
It doesn't end here. It doesn't end. I got it to 75. I was like, hey, I got a 25K assignment. I could also work with the sellers now on negotiations with the liens because I knew it was going to come up. I ended up deducting 5,000 on my end because they were really, really, really um, needing to get that done.
Yep.
I gave them 5K. I ended up with 20. The buyer was happy. Seller was happy as well. All the liens, all the problems are now behind them, and they are finally out.
And you netted how much?
20.
20. That is incredible. Why? Let me ask you this, Rotem. Why didn't they just put it on the market with an agent?
Oh, they couldn't. They had almost no timeline to do that because their property was going to go into a tax foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't tell me that initially, but throughout my digging and understanding, I forgot to say this. I mean, after calling the county and understanding all these liens, I mean, I spoke to the sheriff himself. He told me that there was an expected sheriff sale in about 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So they even told me I can't buy it. I was like, whoa. So what's going? This is my first time dealing with all of this. There's a foreclosure in 3 weeks. I immediately just thought this was only like a 10K tax, and now it's suddenly like about to go to the city or the bank. Um, so I explained the situation to the county that I'm buying this property and they need to push this sheriff sale back. They gave me another 60 days, the county, which was great. And I mean that's also the reason why the seller could not have gone to the market if he would have. I mean, I'm not sure any buyer would have bought it at his asking price or whatever, and definitely not in 3 weeks. So he would have lost his house.
Yeah. Awesome. And this was just on a tax delinquent list?
Yes, this was a tax delinquent
You like
list.
that list?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna double down on that.
Where do you get it from?
I pulled that one off the county.
Straight from the
So
county.
I got into, yeah. So I've been playing with Deal Machine. It was great. It is still great. I decided to call the county, email them, and have them send me that tax delinquent list, and I played that. Great results.
Awesome. Awesome. How did that feel to
Yep.
close your first deal? Well, I guess you closed the deal before it, but how did it feel to close this one that was, you had to jump through all these hoops?
Man, that this deal was like it was up and down. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was waking up at like 5 a.m. here answering their calls. Um, it was crazy. It felt so good to know that all this hard work finally came up to payday.
Yeah.
Like it was a very tough job to deal with these kind of homeowners, especially as a first deal with no experience.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of experience fast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It felt unreal.
Yeah. Well, speak now to everybody that's just getting started or working on their first deal. What advice would you give to them?
I would do what has helped me, which is firstly figure out my mental state coming into this. This is not any side hustle or like a side kind of mini kind of thing. You can stay consistent once a week, twice a week. I mean, if you do that, you'll get the same results. And I think that you have to come into this. I'm not saying you have to be full time, but I am saying you have to be dedicated into
Sure.
this business, understanding that there's nothing comes easy. Um, and I would definitely focus on the mental state. And I think I agree with you putting, I think on the 90-day action plan, you put like you have to watch the mental phase or whatever first. I'm not too sure what it's called.
Yep.
But I agree with that decision because it definitely puts you in a much more responsible way coming into this. I'm not just learning. I'm learning, and this is the reason why. This is my why. It's right here. I always have it right here in the back of my mind. It gets tough. I'll remind myself why I'm doing this and how bad I want it. Just like everything else. I mean, I would I would never draft to the army or find myself crawling in the sand for 8 hours a night if I didn't know why I was doing it. So it's the same thing here.
Yeah. I love it. How can people get a hold of you? Reach out to you, have a conversation, pat you on the back, get
I'm
connect
on
with you, want to do
Facebook.
deals with you? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on Facebook, Rotem, so Rotem, and then Levy, Levy. Happy to connect. And I'm also in the Rhino group chat, so or group Facebook group, so always happy to connect.
Awesome. What incredible. I mean, 22 years old, building all these skills from thousands of miles away in a different time zone, no excuses, pushing through, using what you learned during your time in the military to really just implement this into your own business. I mean, you're unstoppable. Do you feel it?
It is, yeah, I do. It is something that counts for, yeah.
Awesome.
The grit.
That's it. The grit that is involved with this, and in any business, anytime we step out there and we brave the world and the uncharted waters of being an entrepreneur, the more action we take, the more progress we make, the better we get at this, the more skills that we build at this, and it compounds year after year after year. If you're doing it right and you're challenging yourself and you keep going through it, right? You fail, you learn, you succeed, and then you get complacent to the point where you have to learn, fail again, and then learn, and then it's just this cycle where we just constantly repotting ourselves into bigger pots, right? We start as a little seed in a little styrofoam cup, and then we have to move to a bigger cup, and then a bigger bowl, and then a bigger pot, and the more we grow, the more space we need for that, and that it all compounds with the skills that we learn. But it doesn't. Nothing happens unless you're taking massive imperfect action. Nothing. So
Exactly.
you're a perfect
Exactly.
example of it. And I'm so happy to bring you on and share your story because I think it's going to inspire a lot of people. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And that I also want to kind of touch on one last thing where you asked on what I would recommend to people starting out right after they get their strong why. It's just exactly what you said. It's don't overthink it. You're just speaking to humans. I mean, talk to people.
That's
That's
it.
that's just it's just that simple. The business isn't easy, but it's simple. You just talk to people, you do what you need to do, you have some sort of goal in mind of how many people you're talking to a day or a week, and you just stay consistent every single day, every single week, and you'll see the results. Just like the gym, just like anything else you try to do out there.
Yeah, you have enough conversations, make enough offers, you will win. It's undefeated. Awesome.
Yep.
Rotem, thanks for being on here. I really appreciate it.